All right, welcome to a new video. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Looks good. Let's do a noise floor check. Okay, I'm on the treadmill, but even for that, it looks like it's at neg 45, which is a really good number. So this is going to be an automate your network video. Last video, we finally got the network to a pre-built state to which Ansible can be run on it. So in order to actually run Ansible on a network, you need a few things first. You need the physical gear installed, wired up to have power. You need the gear to be connected together, and you need there to be a protocol like SSH up and working on it. So a lot of times, so what you'll hear something like Ansible be called is it'll be called an agentless protocol, protocol that doesn't require an agent. So in my mind, that's like not exactly true because it does require an agent. It requires SSH to work as an agent on its behalf. So other programs like Ansible, like Puppet, I believe, require a dedicated, and it could be Chef, but regardless of which specific other programs, it is true that there are some programs that require a specific agent to be installed to work with that program specifically. So you can kind of think of it as like some require a proprietary agent associated with the program to be installed, or if not proprietary, one that's specifically for the program, and then other ones can use like pre-existing more open source ones. But in my opinion, the idea of a pure agentless program for automation, it's just not a real thing, and that's a point of confusion in my opinion, and I wish that would be communicated better in training materials. Okay, I'm going to take my 25 minutes of sedentary time. All right, and then let's dive into this. All right, so I've got 25 minutes of sedentary time. So last video, what we were doing is we were reading through and doing the first playbook that we have here. They say to do a dry run. Now the problem I encountered was that the actual hosts file, now here they have it called hosts. As far as I knew, it had to be called hosts.ini. But it was not able to read that file. So let's get some help from Chat GPT. Let's pull down the repo that I'm using in Azure and try to get some help from Chat GPT. So trying to bring the lab up here. It looks like there's some issues with that. Okay, there we go. That looks good. Yeah, so I'll start the lab. And then I could just access it on Azure website. Yeah, so here we go. All right, now if we go to repos, this is the repo. So I can clone this down to my local, and then I can work on them across locations, and that'll be a good way to demonstrate like collaboration, because it could be me working with someone else. So I'm gonna do that. For now, I'm just gonna take a quick break and be right back. All right, welcome back. So let's keep on going here. So yeah, I'm gonna have to basically work between the two. I would like to see if there's a way I can tie this into ChatGPT. I know that there is a way to do it on GitHub, but I'm not sure if there's a way to do it with Azure. Let me do something like this. let me do this. So I'm going to switch over it to advanced data analysis, and I'll try to upload something to it. Let's try to upload the folder that I'm working on now. So this isn't going to be the folder ultimately, but it will be this one here. So automate your network. Yeah, and let's update the let's upload the answer key. So it looks like all you can upload is a file. You can't upload a full folder structure. So we can see we just have the file here, and then we just have that. So we do need that folder structure. I guess we technically don't need that. We just need the files. So let's try it again. Let's just get the files. So if we go to playbooks, campus, tactical, the one that we're working on now is the iOS gather facts, but we're working on our own version. So let's see what it has to say about this.
I see you've uploaded a file named ios_gather_facts. YML. How can I assist you with it?
It's for Ansible. Analyze it.
Sure. I'll start by reading the contents of the ios_gather_facts. YML file to understand its content and then provide analysis.
Yep. Please do.
This Ansible playbook, ios_gather_facts. YML, appears to be aimed at collecting information from Cisco IOS devices and network. Here's a breakdown of its content. Target hosts. Hosts. Lab campus. This playbook targets devices that are part of the Lab campus group in the Ansible inventory.
Okay, so
global.
I think this is gonna work. So let's do that with this. So we're going to clone this down to my local here. So it's in two locations. It's in the lab, but I also want to put it in my local files on my home PC, which is not where my lab is running. It's running on an external Dell R610 PowerEdge in my living room. So we've got that going. So the next step will be to let's see here. What will the next step be? Oh, right. It'll be to download that other repo. So we're going to go here. We're going to go open Linux shell here, and then we're going to do that. Then we'll do git clone. Okay, so this already exists. Yeah, it already did that here. So let's open this up in Visual Studio Code. Okay, perfect. And then we'll have to do a git pull to make sure that we're up to date here, which is good to demo that. Okay, so we don't have the right SSH keys. So let's get that. So okay, so we have to go to security or SSH keys here. Then we need to add a new key. It's going to be, we'll call it Wassel. And add. There we go. Now we got 4 keys, which kind of makes sense because we've got just my home PC, probably the Windows non-Wassel. Then we've got the Wassel, then we've got the out-of-band monitoring server, and then we've got the ultimate server that'll be used for our remote workers on our network once the network is at that state. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so then we got to do get pull. Okay, but before that, we have to move to the correct folder. There we go. Okay, so the thing is, we do have some. Okay, so we have what's called a merge conflict here. So, or we have local changes here that would be overwritten by the merge. So we have to git stash them before we can merge. So this is a merge conflict. So here's the local changes. So here's what's been modified. So we can let's do the sync two changes. So we're gonna pull down two changes. There we go. So that took care of that. We just needed to make sure that it was okay to blow away the changes that we had. So one thing I'm noticing here is the source control is not working. Let's do a code dot on this. Okay, and then hopefully, yeah, now the source control is working. So we can see the diff between the two. We see the current one here. So yeah, so we would be overriding there with what we've got on ours. Or actually it looks like it's the same. I'm not sure what's going on. But I think we can get rid of all the changes, discard all changes. Yeah. Okay, now yeah, everything looks good. Okay, yeah, so everything looks good. So now we've only got a few files. So let's not worry about the mode that it's in. Let's just open all our files. So okay, so we've got the hosts file. We've got the just a default README, so we don't need that. Then we've got the campus facts. Then the all.yaml. And okay, it looks like we have some issues here with yeah, so I might want to it looks like I can't open it with I can't open multiple files. It just overwrites the file that was open, and that's unacceptable behavior for me. So there. So I think this is one thing we need to do. There we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we've got that looking. Okay, so these are all the files we want to analyze. So let's feed them into the ChatGPT and see if it can tell us what's wrong. So we're gonna say troubleshoot my Ansible. So troubleshoot. Let's see which one's selected. It looks like that data analysis is selected. So let's just move it to the default. And we're gonna say troubleshoot my Ansible playbook. Here are the necessary files to see. Okay, so the first file is going to be hosts.ini. Okay, and then the next file will be campusfacts.yml. All right, and then one more file that's going to be all.yml.
Alright, let's review the content of the provided files. Hosts. Ini, this file contains the inventory groups and their respective hosts. Looks good. Campus_facts. YAML, this is your Ansible playbook that gathers facts about devices in the data center group and then attempts to save the facts to a JSON file. All. YML contains variables to be used in the playbook. Here are a few potential issues and areas to investigate. Authentication credentials. The CLI dictionary and all. YML specifies a username, but there is no password or SSH key for authentication. Depending on your setup, you might need to add either password or private underscore key underscore file to your CLI dictionary for proper authentication. IOS underscore facts module. You're using the IOS underscore facts module. This means the devices in the data center group should be Cisco IOS devices. Ensure they are, and that they are accessible using the credentials you provided. Path for destination file. In your copy task, the destination path is / documentation campus recon underscore playbooks campus underscore facts inventory underscore hostname underscore campus underscore facts underscore output. JSON. There are potential issues here. Typo. Documentation seems like it should be documentation. Ensure the directory exists. Before you can save a file in the specified location, the directory path must exist. Use absolute paths. Relative paths can be problematic because they're determined by where Ansible is executed from. It's generally a better practice to use absolute paths. Variable inclusion. Make sure that your playbook is using the all YML variable file. You can include it in the playbook using the following. YAML copy code of ours underscore files. All YML Ansible configuration. Ensure that the inventory hosts any is correctly referenced in your Ansible configuration or command.
Okay, these all look great, so rewrite these files for me and I will replace them in my project folders.
Sure. Based on the feedback and suggestions, here are the revised files. Hosts. Any. No changes here, it seems to be in order.
Okay. Well, what about the file name for host.ini? Is it...
Two. Sure, based on the feedback and suggestions, here are the revised files. Hosts. Any. No changes here, it seems to be in order. Campus underscore facts. YAML. Notes. : Make sure to replace absolute underscore path underscore 2 with the correct path. I've added a task to ensure that the directory exists before attempting to save the facts file. All YML. Notes. I've added a placeholder for the password. Replace your underscore password underscore here with your actual password or uncomment and fill in the private underscore key underscore file path if you're using an SSH key for authentication. Once these files are in place, remember to adjust any paths and credentials as needed and test the playbook. Don't forget to back up the originals before replacing them.
Alright, so, sorry, I was just thinking about something else. I need to pause for a bit. Oh, I do have a sedentary timer. Okay, so it's about 4 minutes, so 4 minutes I will need to get back on my treadmill. Might not need to pause, though. Alright, so here we go. Oh man, this is confusing. So what we got to do is fix the files here. So let's take a look one by one at the suggestions that ChatGPT had. So the first thing it said is that the host.ini file is good, but I'm a little bit skeptical of that. So let's ask a follow-up question to see if that ini suffix is necessary.
B. Default inventory file name that Ansible looks for is hosts. However, the file name itself isn't strict. You can use hosts. Any, my underscore inventory. YAML, data center. TXT, or virtually any other name. The important part is how you reference it.
It's just to pass it in there.
When you run your playbook, you use the flag followed by the inventory file name.
Okay, so it can be anything because you explicitly type it in and pass it when you run the playbook. Alright, so the next one is campusfacts.yaml, so let's take a look at that. So they do have quite a few changes here. We will see those show up in the version control, so I'm just going to copy and paste it in, and then let's take a look at it in version control. Okay, so we can see we were missing this vars file. That's probably a pretty big problem here. The next thing is we actually have a another another thing here that so we have names. It looks like we only have one name here. So here's the other thing too, is we're using this iOS Facts module. So I have a question about that. So let me ask the AI. So regarding now, does this have to be iOS Facts or does it have to be Campus Facts? Because this a like, where does this draw from? So my question is going to be regarding the YAML key named iOS Facts. Where is that drawn from? How can I check what that is drawing, what that is summoning forward, and make sure that it is what I want?
B. IS_facts key in your playbook refers to the Ansible module named IS_facts. This module is specifically designed to gather facts about devices that run Cisco iOS. Here's what you can do to understand and ensure it's what you want. Module documentation. Ansible's official documentation provides detailed information on each module. You can view the IS_facts module documentation on the Ansible website or use the Ansible doc command. Bash copy code ansible.is_facts. This command will give you a detailed explanation of the module, its parameters, return values, examples, etc. Dependencies. Ensure you have the necessary Python libraries installed. For Cisco iOS devices and using Ansible's network modules, you often require the netmico library. You can install it using pip. Bash copy code to pip install netmico testing. You can run your playbook in check mode to see what would happen if you were to run it for real. This is a sort of dry run and doesn't make any actual changes. Bash copy code Ansible playbook I hosts. Anycampus_facts. YAML check verbose mode. If you want more detailed output to understand what the playbook and the IS_facts module are doing, you can run Ansible in verbose mode. Bash copy code Ansible playbook I hosts. Anycampus_facts. YAML v you can add more versus e, g, vvv or vvvv for increasing levels of verbosity. Review return values. Since you're registering the output of the IS_facts module to the campus_facts_output variable, you can also add a debug task right after the IS_facts task to print out the return facts and see if they match what you expect. YAML copy code name, debug output debug, var. Campus_facts_output. Remember, modules in Ansible, like IS_facts, are predefined pieces of code designed to perform specific tasks. If you're working with devices other than Cisco
Sedentary
iOS, you might
timer.
need to look into other modules that are more appropriate for your device type.
Yeah, I need to do that. Okay, so let's reset the sedentary timer. So we got to do a minimum of 5 minutes. There's no upper maximum for being on the treadmill, but I do need to do that 5 minutes. Ugh. There, so I have to move the treadmill over. Then I have to make sure it's turned on. Okay, there we go. And now I have to be on it for at least 5 minutes. I should probably be going backwards on it too because I've got sore muscles. Okay, so there we go. Let's keep working on this. So okay, so I think this is the big problem for me because I'm not just using iOS all throughout my network. I'm using multiple all throughout my network. Like, each device in my network is not iOS. Like, there are some iOS devices, but there are different kinds of devices as well. So can you help me work through how to change this so that I can actually make Ansible work? Or is it true that Ansible is expecting basically like a cookie cutter network, and for any network with any sort of kind of uniqueness at all or like extra complexity, Ansible just isn't the right tool? Is that the case, that Ansible is just meant for very cookie cutter and plain networks that just aren't very common? Or am I mistaken that cookie cutter plain networks that are simple enough to have been pre-designed for by Ansible are very common, and it's the edge cases, such as I'm using in my lab that are actually the really rare things that happen.
Absolutely. I can help you navigate this. Firstly, it's essential to understand that Ansible is an incredibly flexible and powerful tool. It is not just designed for cookie-cutter networks. In fact, Ansible's strength is its ability to manage diverse and complex environments.
Cool.
The key is in how you design your playbooks, roles, and tasks to cater to the nuances of your specific environment.
Perfect.
To address the issue of diverse device types. Device-specific modules. Ansible has a variety of modules tailored for different network device types. For instance, IOS_FATS for Cisco, IOS_FATS for Arista EOS, and XOS_FATS for Cisco, and XOS Junos_FATS for Juniper Junos. And many more. Grouping devices by type. In your inventory, you can group devices based on their operating system or platform. This allows you to target specific playbooks or tasks to just those devices. Any copy code, Cisco_IOS, data DS01, data DS02, Arista_EOS, take a CORE01, Juniper, int DIST01 conditional execution. You can conditionally execute tasks based on variables or facts.
Okay, perfect. So I think you can help me make this work then. I think what we need to do is redo the hosts.ini file. Do you agree? I think what we need to do is make sure that that file is separated not only by the areas of my network, but also by the types of devices that I'm using. So I need that file to be rewritten to group devices by type. And then after that, I need to change my playbook to have conditional execution and to use the appropriate module for the appropriate device. So just using iOS facts wasn't enough and was causing my playbook to fail just by using the module iOS FACTS. That was not enough because I was using other different device types. So not only do I need to specify the device types I'm using in my host file, I also need to write my playbook to use the appropriate module. Correct?
Yes, you're correct. Let's break down the solution into steps.
Yeah, so let's do
Redefine
this.
hosts. Any by device type. Organize your inventory by both location, area, and device type. This will allow you to apply specific Ansible tasks to a particular type of device. Update playbook with conditional execution. Based on the inventory groups, you can have conditional tasks that execute specific modules. Let's start with step 1. 1. Redefine hosts. Any based on the previous hosts. Any, I'll make an assumption about the device types. You'll need to adjust this based on your actual environment. Note: devices are grouped by their type. Children is a way to combine multiple groups. So if you want to target all data center devices regardless of type, you target the data center group. 2. Update playbook with conditional execution.
Okay, so we're kind of ahead of ourselves right now because we need to first get
Here,
a list.
the tasks for gathering facts only execute based on the device type and they register the facts to a common variable named device_facts.
Okay, but we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves right now because first we need to get that list of each of the devices in my network and each of the device type, correct? So I will provide those to you soon. I'm working on that now.
Absolutely. Let's start with the inventory. Once you have a list of devices and their respective types, we can structure the hosts. Any inventory file accordingly. After that's set, the playbook can be updated to reflect those device types with appropriate conditions. Just provide the list when you're ready, and I'll help you reorganize the inventory in the playbook.
Okay, perfect. So let's work on this right now. So we have to get, so we have to make a list of each of the devices. So we conveniently we have that here already, but then we need as well the device type. So we could do that in the lab. And let's go ahead. We've got this change here. Let's just discard this change. That file is going to be completely different. So we don't have any differences anymore. All we have to do is work on this host.ini file. So let's go into the lab. And then let's open up this out-of-band admin machine. And I'm going to change the host name on it. It's going to be ob-admin. Just to make that clear. All right, and then we're going to look at the Visual Studio Code. on here. Whew. Feeling good. All right. So let's go to automate your network, and I can take my 25 minutes of sedentary time anywhere, anytime I want. Need to take that soon because I have a protein timer going as well. In 8 minutes, I need to get 30 grams of protein. Get that hit 4 times throughout the day. That's 120 grams, which is well over my floor that you need to prevent muscle loss. And it's it leaves room at the top too, because I just had for breakfast some spiced chickpeas and wild rice, so like that's got a lot of protein in it. But you know, if I were to have 200, 300 grams of protein just through the powders, there'd be a point where I'd be getting too much protein. You can get too much protein and get a condition called protein poisoning from that. All right, so let's continue. So ls, there we go, code dot. But having that floor of protein is important for maintaining strong muscles. And that floor is like absurdly high, to the point where like if you're on a plant-based diet, it can be hard to meet that floor, but it's not impossible. Pea protein is just like whey protein. It's just a scoop of protein you put in, just like you would for animal-based protein. So just do that every 3 hours, up to 4, and do that 4 times throughout the day in 3-hour intervals, and you'll have no problem meeting that floor of protein requirements, even on a 100% plant-based diet. Not medical advice, and I'm especially not for me, because I'm overweight and out of shape and have very little muscle mass to preserve. All right, so let's work on this host.ini file right now. So we're going to open this, and then we're going to actually reach out to these devices, which is something we can do, and we'll get the device type. So SSH, there we go. Put that in there. Oh, it's going to be Control-Shift-B. There we go. Okay, so now we can do enable, or we can do a, yeah. So this is a Juniper. So let's do Junos. So we'll do Junos. Yep, and then we'll go into the other one, which I believe is a Junos as well, but we'll make sure. It just helps to know that we can actually connect to it too. Make sure those connections are persistent. Once that key is blown away, it ruins all access. So if you do this in the real world, you got to make sure those keys are locked down, so somebody can't just overwrite that, blow away the key, because you'll have to redo everything if that's the case. But this is a great way to securely access the network, because then they can only get to it from this device with this key. And in fact, even if they have access to this device, if you want to lock down your network, you just blow away the key. But that means you have to have boots on the ground and actually connect to the device and get in through console that way. So this is still in-band management in a sense. It's just a dedicated band just for management, but it's not like over serial links. Okay, so this one is iOS. Yeah, all four of these are iOS. I wish it weren't taking this long. I'm not sure why it takes so long. That's something to troubleshoot in the future. If I could troubleshoot it now, that would help a lot, because it taking that long is quite disruptive. Really should not take that long. These I know are Junos as well. I mean, if I know what it is, just write down what it is and move on. These, I'm not sure what they are. I know that this is a FortiGate. I'm pretty sure these are Cisco, but these I know are FortiGates. These I know are Junipers. So let's look at the next one here. Oh, and we got the name server thing. So we can just blow this away. You need to do no IP domain lookup to get rid of that. So let's see here. SSH at dist. Oops. Yep. Alright, so I think this is the Arista. Let's take a look. So show version. Yeah, this is the VEOS. So EOS. Pretty sure all the ints are EOS. Not sure what the access is. We can look at distribution number 2. You know what? Let's do this. Let's open up. So we've got. Once we're done looking at this 2, let's just open up terminals and plug all of these in so that we can get to them faster. Okay. Yep, that's an EOS as well. So now let's open up. Let's count the number of sessions we'll need, and then open up each session. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Okay, so if I want, oh, that's my protein timer. I have to take care of that. Okay, that's my protein timer. So okay, so let's just finish building out these connections. Okay, so we've got 4 more connections. Alright, so now that the connections are built, I've got 25 minutes on the clock to be sedentary. I'll use part of that time to be active getting my protein, but yeah, so I'm going to pause it, take the 25 minutes of sedentary time, get my protein in, reset the protein clock, and then come back and finish this host file. So I'll be back just in a little bit. Alright, welcome back. So I've got my protein for my 3-hour interval, so I'm going to start a new 3-hour interval. My sedentary time didn't run out, but I'm feeling good, so after 5 minutes, I'll set this for 5 minutes, and then if I need more sedentary time, I'll take it at that point. Yeah, we're back. Promised to the AI that we would feed it a updated host.ini file that includes the device types as well. So that's what we're working on. We've got in the VNC here, we've got another instance of Visual Studio Code open, and then we're modifying that centralized repository. And then what we're going to do is make kind of a broken host.ini file, but then we'll feed it to the AI, and the AI will fix everything for us. It's our Lord and Savior. It might also enslave us for all of eternity and extend our lifespans for the sole purpose of having us suffer more, but I don't think it's quite there yet. That might take a few more innovations. Alright, so let's continue. Okay, so this is the int access 01. See what kind of device it is. It's an iOS. Alright, so this is int access 02, iOS. WAN dist 01. It's EOS. The distributions are EOS. WAN access iOS. iOS. Distributions are EOS. And then these two are iOS as well. Or these are the floor devices. Yeah, EOS, and then iOS. All right, so now we can delete all of these sessions. Okay, and then exit out of there, and then we can go to the version control. So source control, I'm not sure what's going on here, but it looks like it's not registering any of these changes. Let's maybe open up another instance of Visual Studio Code to make sure that we're in the right place. Okay, yeah, so there's some kind of issue where the version control doesn't seem to be picking up on these changes. I'm going to hit refresh. I'll hit save. Okay, so we see how this changed to an X. So it wasn't doing that because autosave is not enabled. So I'll enable autosave. There we go. There's the changes. So we're going to, yeah, now we're going to stage this. We're going to say temp broken hosts file to feed device types to GNS. Or sorry, to GPT, chat GPT. Oh, we can call it CGPT. Okay, sync those changes. See how much easier it is to work across devices, you know. The version control is absolutely essential to learn. Because now I just come over here, I do git pull. And now all that work I did is right here, and now I can, as promised to the AI, feed in that file. And I will take my 25 minutes of sedentary time right now. Oh, well, I'll take it in 20 seconds.
Thanks. You for the detailed list. Let's organize this by device type and hosts. Any inventory file.
Okay. Okay, so here we go. Yep, it's working. Okay, so yeah, but the thing is with that is you know, it's grouping it. I want it grouped by I want it grouped by like the sections of the network, you know? Like I know it's important to have them categorized by their. So yeah, the thing with that though is I want it grouped by the sections of the network, you know, like we've got the data center, we've got the core, we've got the internet section, the WAN section, we've got the floors. So like the idea is I want to drop everything. I want to drop a floor 2 and like have everything, a floor 2, like the number 2. I want to drop a second floor, and I want to have it to just like automatically be able to set up that second floor with no work using my network automation. So like I want it to be classified by the sections of the network as well as the device type. Like it's more important for it to be classified by the section of the network for me than it is by the device type. So is there a way to write that file where like it emphasizes more that these devices belong to a specific portion of the network than what kinds of devices they are?
Certainly. Your requirement is to prioritize the network topology or functional segments over the device types, but still retain the ability to discern device types when needed. In that case, we can define the primary group as the functional area of the network, and within each functional area, create subgroups for each device type.
Perfect.
Here's a revised structure.
I like that. Yeah, look at how much better that is. So we have the data center with all the devices here. And then we have the data center children.
Approach groups devices primarily by their function or topology in the network. If you want to target a specific type of device within a section, you can reference a subgroup like data center _ iOS. If you want to target all devices in a functional area, use the main group like DATACENTER. This provides you with flexibility while emphasizing the network sections as per your requirement.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, yeah, I like that. Can you make the whole file for me, please?
Of course. Here's the full hosts. Any based on the structure we discussed.
Isn't this awesome? Like I have an employee.
This structure should now allow you to emphasize the network sections while still keeping track of device types within each section. Once you integrate this into your Ansible project, you can modify your playbooks to utilize these groups for targeted or conditional operations.
Yeah, I could not. I've been wanting to do this series for years, but I could not do it without ChatGPT. It's just too much work. It requires too much planning. too high degree of a understanding of Ansible. I mean, the purpose is to learn it, right? So like, in order to do something like this, you already have to be like a master at it. So it's like, yeah. So I like this. Okay, so let's stage it and commit it. Commit. So we're gonna do chat vt designed hosts file. Yeah. All right, sync the changes. All right, now let's have it write to the campus fax. Okay, perfect. Now that we've got that hosts file figured out and pinned down, let's work on the campus fax YAML file that we will use as a playbook. Let's make sure that the iOS fax module is like the fax module, FACTS, like the module that we were discussing earlier. That is an Ansible module. Like, let's make sure that that is used when it needs to be used, and that the appropriate module is used when it needs to be used.
Absolutely. In order to accommodate various device types within a single playbook, we'll make use of conditional task execution based on the device type.
Yes, thank you.
This way, we can leverage the right fax module depending on the device type and focus.
See this?
Let's modify the campus_fax YAML playbook to handle each device type.
Okay, so see what we're gonna do. So now we've got this register win.
This playbook does.
See?
For each section, in this example, data center, the playbook will execute tasks conditionally based on the device type subgroup. If the device falls under the iOS group, the iOS_fax module will be used.
Yep.
If it's under
See?
Junos, the Junos_fax module will be used, and so forth.
See?
The gathered facts are then saved to a JSON file. Note, this example assumes that there are fax modules available for each device type like Junos_fax, EOS_fax, etc. If a specific device type doesn't have a corresponding Ansible fax module, it would need to be handled differently. You'd repeat?
Okay, how can I verify that those fax modules exist?
To verify the existence of specific fax modules in Ansible, you have several approaches. Ansible documentation. Visit the official Ansible documentation website. Use the search functionality to look for the module you're interested in, e.g. Junos_fax or EOS_fax.
And the cool thing is, like, I can develop modules and push them up. But for a list of available modules, we can run this in command prompt. So let's do that. Okay, so we've got all the modules here, and this is the pipe list. So what we can do is search for those modules. So let's search for the modules that we are discussing in the GPT chat. So we are discussing the modules here, iOS fax. Let's see if it's got that. Okay, so we see that right there. So let's go down to iOS fax. Let's see if it's got Junos fax. Okay, we see that. EOS fax. Oh, we don't have EOS fax. So so it looks like EOS fax doesn't exist. Is there another module or something for EOS? There's a lot of modules. Oh, actually, there's not that many. That's less than I thought there would. I mean, there's a lot. Like, yeah, no, there's a lot. There's more than the buffer. So it looks like it didn't read it out loud. You can have it do it.
For EOS devices, which are typically Arista devices, the appropriate module is EOS_facts, but it's part of the Arista.EOS collection in newer versions of Ansible, from Ansible 2.10 onwards. Prior to this, it was a core module. If you're using Ansible 2.10 or later, you'll need to install the Arista.EOS collection to access the EOS_facts module. Once installed, when you use it in your playbook, you reference it with its full name.
Wait, are you telling me that Arista was a core module, but then in newer versions of Ansible it's not? Like, what happened? Are Arista devices no longer being produced, or like no longer popular as they used to be?
No. Arista devices remain popular, and there's no indication that they're going out of production.
Oh,
the change in how Ansible handles modules for Arista and many other devices is due to restructuring in Ansible itself, not a reflection of the popularity or relevance of Arista devices. Starting from Ansible 2.10, the Ansible team decided to split the core of Ansible from the vast number of modules they had to support. This move was done for several reasons. Scalability and maintenance. With the proliferation of modules in Ansible, over thousands for all sorts of devices and systems, it became increasingly difficult for the core Ansible team to maintain and update each module. Flexibility. By moving modules to collections, it allows for independent release cycles. So, for example, if there's an update or a bug fix for an Arista module, it can be released immediately in the Arista EOS collection without having to wait for the next release of the entire Ansible project. Community empowerment. Collections empower the community and even vendors themselves to take ownership of the modules. For instance, Arista can directly contribute to and maintain their collection, ensuring it's always up to date with their latest devices and OS versions. Decluttering the core. It helps keep the Ansible core lean, focusing on the main functionality of Ansible, while the specific modules for devices, clouds, etc. are managed separately in collections. So, in short, the change is structural and is designed to better scale and manage the vast ecosystem of Ansible modules. It doesn't reflect on the popularity or importance of Arista devices. If you're using Ansible 2.10 or later, you'll just need to adapt to using collections for a number of device and system modules.
Oh, I misspelled it. Okay. So, okay, perfect. So, can you complete this file so that it's perfect for what I'm doing?
Your playbook structure looks good, considering the split of tasks based on device types. Here are a few things to note and potential improvements. Modules and collections. Since Ansible 2.10 and above, many modules, including networking ones, have been moved to collections. You'll need to use the full namespace E.g. Arista EOS EOS_facts instead of just EOS_facts if you're using a newer version of Ansible. Task execution. Each task will execute based on the condition, when clause. Only the tasks where the condition is met will be executed. This means if you run the playbook on an iOS device, only the iOS device facts task will run, and so on. FortiGate facts. At the time of my last training data, early 2022, I'm not aware of a FortiGate_facts module. FortiGate Ansible support might exist for some collections, but you need to check if there's a facts gathering module specifically. If one doesn't exist, you need to utilize other methods to gather facts. Provider parameter. Depending on the Ansible version and module, the provider parameter might not be the best way to pass connection information. The newer practice is to use individual parameters like Ansible_host, Ansible_user, Ansible_password, etc. Or to use Ansible_netnico or Ansible_network_CLI connection plugins. You'll need to verify the best approach based on the Ansible version you're using. Here's a more polished version of your playbook. Finally, test your playbook on a staging environment or with a limited set of devices first. It's always a good practice to ensure the playbook behaves as expected before scaling it out to more devices.
Okay, so here's the placeholder for the FortiGate. Let's not concern ourselves with the FortiGate right now, so we're gonna get rid of all of these. And then yeah, so this looks good to me. Full namespace if using collections. So hey, let's do it. So I think this is it. So we're gonna go to source control. We're gonna stage all changes. And then we're going to say playbook complete. Book complete. And then we'll say divided complete calls we'll just say playbook calls appropriate device module. And commit. And sync changes. And here we go. Moment of truth. Dun, 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 dun. Big moment in the history of this series on this channel. So we tried the Ansible playbook last time. It did not work. So let's try it again. And hopefully it will work this time. All right, so see how easy it is to work. Now that's just working with me. I mean, imagine you're working with other people of the team. You know, see how much easier you could use, and then you can do a code review in a centralized way. Yeah, it's just a no-brainer to learn version control. It's just a modern skill that you have to learn. And a lot of people who follow this channel might be like pure network engineers, kind of like, you know, how I was trained to be more like if you're graduating from a program and you're specifically picked out network engineering, you might not have these version control skills. Definitely put some time in and pick them up with ChatGPT. You know, it's pretty easy. Just do a tutorial on them. Use them in your own life, like for your resume. You know, keep versions of your resume. Use version control for that. Yeah, it's a really important skill. All right, so here it is, the big moment of truth. So we'll put this side by side with the book here. All right, and then we'll do Ansible playbook. So ANSIBLE -PLAYBOOK space campus. This is what I named it. Campus _ facts.yml and then -- check. I think that's all that needs to be there. Yep, and then enter. So campus facts can't be found. Let's see what I actually named it. I might have named it something different. Oh, you know what? It's not in. You have to give it the actual path. So it's going to be from here, and it's going to be under playbooks, under campus, and under tactical. I guess I don't have to have the same kind of folder structure. So it looks like we got a problem here. There's no action. So it could be a misspelled word. iOS device facts, defending line seems to be here, but we can see where it is. So if we hit down control push there, then it just puts it right there. We see it's on line 4. It takes us right to it. So here's the task, iOS device facts. So yeah, so Cisco .ios facts. Group names. Interesting. All right, so this seems to be like actually a pretty legit problem here. So, that's interesting. So there's no action was detected in task. So I'll tell the AI that. So
the error no action was detected in task in. Ansible typically means that a task in your playbook lacks a module or action. In other words, Ansible couldn't figure out what you wanted to do in that task. Upon reviewing the playbook you provided, the likely candidates for this error are: if any of the modules, IS_facts, Junos_facts, EOS_facts, or the placeholder FortiGate_module_name_here, are misspelled or not recognized in your Ansible version, or if they aren't properly installed. If any of the namespaces, E.g., Cisco, IS_facts, Juniper Networks, Junos, Junos_facts, Arista, EOS, EOS_facts, aren't correctly spelled, or if the corresponding collections aren't installed. To address this, ensure modules exist. First, check that the modules you're using exist in your version of Ansible. If you're using collections, ensure you installed them. Copy code Ansible Galaxy Collection, install Cisco. IS Ansible Galaxy Collection, install Juniper Networks. Junos Ansible Galaxy Collection, install Arista. EOS replace the collection names with the appropriate ones if different. Ensure correct module names. If you import the modules via collections, ensure you're using the right namespace E. G. Cisco. IS. IS underscore facts. Placeholder module. The placeholder FortiGate underscore module underscore name underscore here is a dummy name. If you're running the playbook with it, Ansible won't
Okay, so I guess I'm just gonna have to try experimenting. So let me try modifying that and see if that fixes things. Yeah, that appeared to fix it because it moved on and said there's an error with the next one, so looks good. Okay, and then EOS. All right, I think this is good. So it's saying skipping no hosts matched. So it would say changing the module to module names to, for example, iOS facts instead of and we can see in line what it used to be instead of yeah, instead of cisco.ios.ios facts. Solved the issue. So CHANG, so changing the module names to, for example, Cisco solved the issue, but now I'm getting no hosts matched.
Verify that your inventory hosts. Any in your case has hosts under the data center group since that's the target in the playbook you've shown. Specify inventory file. Ensure that you are specifying the correct inventory file when running your playbook. Use the I option with Ansible playbook. Bash copy code Ansible playbook at path underscore to underscore your underscore hosts. Any your underscore playbook. YML hosts file path. Check the location of your hosts. Any file. If it's not in the default location, ensure you're providing the correct path when invoking the playbook. Hosts file format. Ensure that the format of hosts. Any is correct. In particular, make sure there aren't any inadvertent spaces or typos in the group name or host names. Ansible configuration. It's possible you have an Ansible CFG file that sets a default inventory location. Make sure this isn't causing conflicts or confusion. Host patterns. In your playbook, you've specified hosts. Data center. This means Ansible is trying to match hosts from the data center group in your inventory. Ensure that this group exists in your hosts. Any file and that there are hosts listed under it. Syntax and formatting. YAML, which is used for both Ansible playbooks and inventory files, is sensitive to syntax and especially to indentation. Ensure that you don't have any syntax or formatting issues. If all the above checks out and you're still facing the issue, there could be a more nuanced configuration or environment issue at play, and you need...
Yeah, so do you think it has to do with my folder structure?
Folder structure can certainly influence Ansible's behavior, especially if files aren't where Ansible expects them to be. Here are some considerations regarding folder structure. Inventory file location. If you're not specifying the inventory file using the I option with Ansible playbook, then Ansible will look for an inventory in its default location, usually, etc. Ansible hosts. Make sure you're pointing to the right inventory file if it's located somewhere else. Relative paths in playbook. If your playbook uses relative paths, like the copy module's desk parameter in your playbook, you need to ensure you're running the playbook from the correct directory, or those paths might not point where you expect. Ansible CFG. If you have an Ansible CFG in the directory where you're running Ansible playbook from, that configuration will be used. Among other things, this file can specify a default inventory, roles path, etc. Ensure its settings align with what you want. Running playbook from different directory. If you run the playbook from a different directory, it might not find files or settings it needs. Always ensure you're in the correct directory when invoking Ansible playbook, or use full paths to specify files. To help diagnose the problem, you could provide the exact command you're using to run the playbook.
Okay, so I think this should be good. So let's just try the -i Ansible or hosts.ini. So we're gonna do Ansible playbook, and then we're gonna do -i hosts.ini. Oh! Wow. Okay, well, what was it looking at before? Okay, and it's going to take forever for DNS. Okay, so using the -I option seemed to fix it. Like the -I, like the letter I, like that seemed to fix the problem. But one of the problems I'm having now is that it takes forever for DNS to resolve the host names. How can I troubleshoot why this is taking so long for DNS to resolve the host names to the IP addresses, and how can I speed it up? Look at this.
Slow DNS resolution can
Beautiful.
certainly hinder the speed of network automation tasks. Here's a list of steps you can take to troubleshoot and potentially improve DNS resolution. Test DNS resolution manually. Use the nslookup command to manually resolve a host name to an IP address. This will give you an idea if the issue is indeed with DNS resolution. Bash copy code lookup data ds010r bash copy code dig data ds01 check the resolving DNS server. Lookup etc. Resolve. Conference file on the system where you're running Ansible.
All right, that's my sedentary timer. So I do need to, this is the one that I, well, neither of them can I ignore, but this is the one I really can't ignore. All right, so I just gotta get my treadmill set up here. I'm gonna get it backwards because muscles are kind of sore. Okay. All right, and all I gotta do is 5 minutes, and then I can have more sedentary time if I want it. Oops, it's a bit too fast. And then when it comes to the pace of treadmill, I just do it like, because like if you can't use it, you can't use it. So even if you're going 0.5 miles per hour, like that's better than doing nothing. So I find that 1.5 is a good general pace where, like, you know, I'm actually getting some kind of exercise and I can focus. 1.0 is a little bit slow. It's like kind of similar to standing, and then lower than that, you might as well just be standing. So like 1.5 is like a perfect, like, general purpose time. If I'm really sore or really trying to focus, I can try putting it down to 1.0, but usually that's a bit too slow. And then if I'm feeling really energetic, I can bump it up to 2 pretty easily, and just do that for a few minutes. And if I'm really feeling like something, like, you know, makes me angry or whatever, just bump it up to 2.5, maybe even 3, and like walk it off like that. That's, I can't tell you how game changing it is to just be able to be like, oh, that's really frustrating me. Let me bump up my treadmill to an extra mile per hour and walk it off for a few minutes. Like, that's a complete game changer when it comes to doing work on a computer. Okay. So, let's see here. Oh, right. So now the problem we're getting is we failed to connect the host to SSH. Permission denied, which is kind of fascinating because we saw we were able to do it before. So is it using like different SSH keys? Okay, so everything is like just about working now, but the problem I'm facing now is that I can't log into my devices, even though I can when I'm not using Ansible. So I'm using public key authentication is how I'm logging in, and everything's fine if I just go from a bash session and use SSH from there. But if I go from Ansible, then it rejects my public key. So like, what is going on here? Like, does Ansible use its own public keys?
Ansible uses the SSH client configuration of the machine it's running on. However,
that's it.
Authentication issues when using
that's
Ansible.
The problem.
Even if manual SSH works fine. Different user. Ansible might be running as a different user than your normal
It's definitely
self.
what's going on.
For instance, if you're running Ansible as root -g, using sudo, it will try to use the root user's SSH keys.
And we can probably see that. Yeah, see?
SSH
We're doing
location.
GNS3.
By default, Ansible uses the SSH keys located until the SSH _RSA are the default SSH key of the user running Ansible. If you use a different key for your devices, you need to specify it. SSH agent. If you're using an SSH agent to manage your keys, like SSH agent, ensure it's running and has the necessary keys added.
Okay, so the problem was that it's using the wrong user. It's using the username of where I'm running Ansible, the home directory, like the user account on the server that I'm running Ansible. But the thing is that's kind of confusing me is in my all.yaml file, I do specify a username, and it's a different username from where I run YAML, but yet it's not using that one. So like, how can I get it to use the username I specified in all.yaml?
It sounds like you've encountered one of the common pitfalls with Ansible's
Oh,
use of
great.
SSH. When you specify the username in your all YML file, that should typically be the username that Ansible uses to connect your
Right.
hosts. However, there can be several reasons it might not be working as you expect. Configuration precedence. In Ansible, there's an order of precedence when it comes to configuration values. Values defined in playbooks, roles, command line arguments, and environment variables can override those set in variable files. Ensure that no other settings are overriding your username. Variable naming and usage. Double check your all YML in the playbook to ensure you've named everything correctly and are referencing the variables correctly. Provider configuration. If you're using the provider argument, like in your is_facts task, you need to ensure that your CLI dictionary and all YML correctly references the username. To be sure, let's review and adjust your all YML and how you use it in the playbook. All YML playbook by explicitly setting the username value in the playbook using the value from all
Yeah, let's do that.
YML, you make sure the correct username is used. Another direct method is to use the Ansible_user variable, which is a built-in variable for setting the SSH username. This would be set like. However, for networking modules, the provider dictionary is commonly used, so it's essential to ensure that the dictionary is correctly formed and referenced.
Okay, so that's my treadmill time. If I want some sedentary time, I'm entitled to it. But I'm feeling good. I'm going backwards, so it's better on my muscles. I'm not overworking the same muscles. So let's see here. Because I'm very sore. I've only been doing this for like 3 days, and my body is not used to it. Okay, so let's see here. So another direct method is to use Ansible user variable, which is a built-in variable for setting the SSH username. So we could do that, but the thing is we'd have to do it for every playbook. We want it to draw from a centralized location. So if we want to update that username, we just have to update it in that centralized location. So I think we have to add these vars here. I think that's the best way to do it. So let's do that. We're going to do it under so hosts, data center. So before the tasks, we're going to add a section, and it's going to be vars. If that section does not already exist at the end, no, it does not. So let's add that section here before tasks. So vars, CLI, and then username, CLI.username, host, CLI.host, port, CLI.port. All right, and then the tasks. So let's see if this works. Oh, so looks like we got the same kind of error. Let's take a look at which host name was used to attempt to log in. So we see the same issue. They're using GNS to log in. They're also using lowercase to log in, but I think that's probably fine. But yeah, it's the same issue where it's using GNS to log in. It's the same issue. It's not using the right username no matter
Alright,
what's in the playbook.
let's troubleshoot this step by step. For most logging. First, you want to see exactly what Ansible is doing during the connection phase.
Yeah, so let's do
This might give us a clue about what's going wrong. Render playbook with the VBB verbosity level to see detailed logs. Bash copy code Ansible playbook at your underscore inventory your underscore playbook. YML VBB check the logs for the SSH command Ansible uses to connect to the device. Look for the U or user flag in the SSH command to see what username it's using. Host file. Ensure that you haven't accidentally set the Ansible underscore user variable directly in the host file or inventory, which would override the username saying elsewhere. Ansible configuration. It's possible there's a setting in the global Ansible configuration file, Ansible CFG, that's affecting the behavior. Check the file for any remote underscore user setting. This will look something like in copy code, defaults, remote underscore user equals some underscore username environment variables. Ansible can use environment variables, which might override settings in playbooks or configuration files. Check if you have Ansible underscore remote underscore user set in your environment. Command line override. Ensure that when you run the Ansible playbook command, you aren't inadvertently setting the user with the U flag. Hard-coded test. As a last resort to determine where the issue lies, you can explicitly set the user directly in your playbook to see if it gets picked up. YAML copy code hosts, your underscore host underscore group remote underscore user. Your underscore specified underscore username tasks. Networking modules. If you're using a networking module, like for EOS or IS, sometimes the connection parameters are different than traditional SSH parameters. Instead of remote underscore user, they might use a provider dictionary or another method. Ansible CFG. One more thing to check is whether you have an Ansible CFG in your current directory or home directory. If so, look for any settings there that might be causing the issue. After trying each step, rerun your playbook and see if the correct username is being used. If none of these steps resolve the issue, it's possible there's a more specific issue related to your Ansible setup, version, or environment.
So you know what one of the things we can do is we can create a new file and we can do so we do touch error log dot like txt, and then when we do these we can redirect the output of this to error log, and then we can load that into our centralized repository and then feed that into the AI. So we should have the error log showing up. There it is. And then we've got all that information in there, so we can feed that into the AI. But before we do that, we have to log everything. So let's stage all commits, stage all changes. Stage all changes up here. There we go. And then we'll say playbook running with wrong username. All right, commit. Oops, and it looks like that didn't make it. So error log created to feed into chat GPT. All right, and then let's do sync changes. All right, and then we'll go over here. We'll do a git pull. All right, so then the so now we've got the error log right here. So let's feed that into ChatGPT.
The issue is clear from the output provided. Ansible is trying to connect to your devices using the GNS3 user and is facing permission denied errors.
Right. It should be
this
using the
suggests
wrong.
a problem with the authentication setup. There could be a number of reasons for this. SSH key not loaded. Ensure that the SSH private key corresponding to the public key on the remote devices is loaded into your SSH agent if you're using one, or is specified correctly in your Ansible configuration. Incorrect user. Ensure that the GNS3 user is the correct user for connecting to the remote devices. If it's a different user, you'll need to specify it in your inventory or playbook. Public key not on remote host. Ensure that the public part of your SSH key is added to the tilde. SSH authorized underscore keys file of the GNS3 user on all remote devices. SSH configuration. Some devices might have SSH configurations that disallow certain forms of authentication or have other security settings that could block Ansible's connections. Ansible SSH user. Ensure that you have specified the SSH user in either the Ansible inventory, playbook, or the global configuration.
Yeah,
The
so
established
remote
SSH
user.
connection for user. None suggests that Ansible might not be getting the correct username. Here's what you can do to troubleshoot and potentially solve the issue. Test manual SSH. Try to manually SSH into one of the devices using the GNS3 user and see if you face any issues. Bash copy code -GNS3 at -ds-01 if this works, then the issue is likely with the Ansible configuration. If it doesn't work, then there's an issue with the SSH setup key.
So what we have to do is we have to add this line here. So it's going to be the YAML, it's going to be hosts. So before the tasks, we just need to add this line, and that should fix it in the playbook. Okay, and that has to be set to the correct user, of course. we've got an issue here where the tab key is not working as it's intended. Okay, but that's fine. We can just space it out, and there we go. So now we can stage all changes, and we can use attempting to get correct user. Stage changes. Now jump over to the real one. And then we'll do a git pull. Okay, so we've got that change in there. Let's shrink it down a bit so that it all fits on the screen. And then let's run that one more time. And then we'll pipe it into the error log. Okay, so yeah, it's doing it for the GPOS user now. So I think this is going to work. Looks like an SCP transfer mechanism failed. I'm not sure what that means, but we can feed it to the AI. I'm going to take my sedentary time. I kind of need it. All right. Yeah, so it's got a transfer mechanism failing. I think it's trying to get something. That's interesting. Let me commit that up. So we'll do a stage all changes. Say it didn't seem to work. And then commit that and sync it. All right, and then pull it down here. And then this error log will update, and now we can feed this to... Oh, you know what? It's because I redirected everything but the standard output. So let's see what the AI has to say about it. Oh, it's too long. You know what? I think it worked. Let's try it one more time. So we're gonna close this, and then we're gonna go like that. We don't need any of these, and yeah, let's do it. So it's running the data center. It's gathering facts on the data center. Taking a while, but it takes a while because DNS is taking so long to resolve. I think that's why it takes so long. Oh no, it looks like we got an error here. Yeah, so we've got some errors here. So we can pipe that into the error log and feed it to GNS. Or sorry, not to GNS, to GPT, ChatGPT. Yeah, it looks like it's trying to like transfer the show run, so maybe something like that through SFTP, but I don't have STP or SCP enabled on the devices. I can set that up though. It looks like it's trying to do this on, all the data center stuff. But hey, we made a lot of progress. It's actually going and attempting it. So the username is right. Everything's right. So, yeah. So we've got 2 that were unreachable, or we got 4 that were reachable, and then 2 that just completely failed. So let's pipe the output to that error log, and then feed that into GNS3, or sorry, into ChatGPT. Okay, so this is the standard error output. It won't get into the here. That's okay. We don't need it there because the standard output ends up in there anyways. Let's take a look at my timers. So protein timer. I have a test in 2 hours, and the test is going to be about 2 hours time commitment, more like an hour and a half, but realistically I'll put together, should budget at least 2 hours for it, if not 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours, I don't think it'll take any longer than that, all said and done, but definitely could take up to 2 full hours. So my protein timer, I might have to do it because my test is at 3:45. So yeah, it'll be right at about my protein timer expiration when my test is. And then I'll have to be more sedentary than usual during my test, but that should be okay. All right, so looks good. So let's stage all these changes, and then let's make a commit. So devices are in reachable. Looks like SFTP or SCP needs enabling. Needs enable. Are disabled. Yeah, we'll just say, yeah. There we go, and then we'll sync the changes and then pull them down here. And it should show up in the version control that it's unsynced. If I hit the refresh. Oh, you know what? I think it only does that if it periodically does a get fetch. I'm not sure what the difference is between get fetch and get pull. Let's ask the AI. So when I'm using get and I'm uploading everything to a centralized repository, like what is the difference between get fetch and get pull on my pull, like PULL, like the opposite of push, like get pull, I mean, like, yeah, so GITPULL, like what is the difference between that and get fetch?
Sure, you're asking about the Git version control system and the difference between git fetch and git pull. Let's break it down. Git fetch fetches the changes from remote repository, like GitHub or Bitbucket, to your local machine.
But does not merge them, yeah.
It updates your remote tracking branches, which are references to the state of branches in the remote repositories. After fetching, you can inspect the changes using commands like git log
Right.
before deciding to merge them into your branch.
So I
Fetching
do
is a way to
want
see what
that.
others have committed before integrating those changes into your local copy. Git pull is essentially a combination of git fetch followed by git merge.
Right.
Pulls the changes from a remote repository and automatically merges them into the branch you're currently in.
Okay. Yeah, I
It is
want
useful when you are
that.
sure that you want to integrate the changes right away. Note that if there are conflicts between your local changes and the changes on the remote,
Okay, I want that.
changes made by other team members.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that git fetch won't just automatically like blow away what I'm working on. It won't like automatically out of nowhere cause like merge conflicts if I'm trying to work on something. Like it won't be that disruptive. It will just pull down changes and just hold them until I approve them to be merged. Is that correct? Is that correct? That is how that works?
Yes, you got it.
Okay, good. Okay, so if that's the case, then I think I do want to set up Visual Studio Code to periodically git fetch. It asked me to do this automatically, and I told it that I did not want to because my experience with git fetch in the past has been that it was disruptive, but obviously there was something wrong with me not understanding how to use it. So I would like to enable this setting, and I would like to have it happen as frequently as possible. So how do I set this up? But again, I am concerned that when I am seriously focused and trying to work on something deeply, I will be distracted by this git fetching and interrupted in my work. How can I set it up so that I do see if other people have updated something, but so that it does not interrupt my deep work?
It's a good idea to periodically fetch changes from the remote repository so that you can stay up to date with what others are doing. Visual Studio Code, VS Code, has a built-in Git integration that can help you with this. To set up periodic fetching in VS Code, open VS Code. Click on the gear icon gear, bottom left corner, to open settings. In the top right corner of the settings tab, you have an option to choose between the UI editor and the JSON editor, denoted by the icon. Choose the UI editor. In the search bar, type git fetch to narrow down the relevant settings. You'll see an option named git auto fetch. Make sure this is checked, enabled. Just below, there's an option named git auto fetch interval. This is where you set how often VS Code will fetch from the remote repository. By default, it might be set to 3 minutes. Adjust this to a frequency that you're comfortable with. However, considering your concerns about potential distractions, turn off automatic pop-ups and notifications. In the settings search bar, type git notification and find the git quiet option. Turn this on to suppress all git-related notifications. This means VS Code won't bother you with pop-ups about new changes fetched. You'll have to manually check for new changes by going to the git pane when you're ready. Manually observe the changes. After the periodic fetch, you can observe any new changes by clicking on the git icon in the sidebar. If there are new changes from the remote, the branch name E.G. main will show an upward or downward arrow with a number indicating the number of commits you're ahead or behind. Mind your work rhythms. If you find even the periodic fetching to be distracting, consider setting a longer interval or even turning off auto fetch and instead fetching manually when you're at a natural stopping point in your work. Remember, fetching is non-destructive. Your work won't be interrupted in terms of merge conflicts or changes to your working directory. However, if the visual indication of the knowledge that there are new changes is enough to distract you, you might want to adjust your VS Code settings or habits accordingly.
Okay, so I think I got that set up correctly now. So it should automatically do it. I could set it to every 30 seconds. So let's go to settings and let's do git fetch. And let's do it every 30 seconds. Okay, and then I don't think I need to save it or anything. We can do it for all. Let's just leave it like this. I don't want to get too complicated with it. Okay, so this is kind of interesting because I don't see it. If I were to manually do a git fetch. Oh, you know what? I think it's because this one's up to date and that one's not. Or because I haven't committed and pushed it yet. I'm not sure what's going on here. Yeah, it's because I haven't pushed it yet. Okay, so now we should see a git fetch automatically come up every 30 seconds. And we can see it load every 30 seconds. So it's a little bit distracting, but not that bad. So just give it 30 seconds and it should automatically show something to pull down. So I'm not sure how much time has gone by. Probably less than 30 seconds. 30 seconds is a long time. I do have some timers going here. Hit refresh on that. All right, so I guess that theory is busted. Let's try it automatically, or let's try it manually. A git fetch. Okay, so we do have the, yeah. So this is what I was expecting to show up automatically, but it only showed up when I manually did it. All right, so here we go. Yeah, that looks good. So let's feed this into the ChatGPT.
This looks like an output from an Ansible playbook run that is attempting to gather facts from a group of hosts in a data center. Here's a breakdown of the errors you're seeing and potential solutions. Error, unknown command, bin shish, for host data ds01 and data ds02. This error suggests that Ansible is having issues executing the default shell, bin shish, on the target systems. Possible solutions. Ensure that bin shish exists and is executable on the target hosts. If you are using a different shell on the target host, update the Ansible _shell executable variable in your Ansible inventory or playbook.
Oh yeah, I probably need to
SSH
do
error.
that.
Data could now be sent to remote host for host data ls01, data ls02, data ls03, and data ls04. This error indicates that Ansible can't establish an SSH connection to the target.
Yeah, I'm using the priv15 shell. So yeah, I'm using the privilege 15 shell. Like I set up the user account to automatically have access to privileged exec mode. So can you please tell me how to update my playbook so that it doesn't do the /bin/sh and it just assumes that it's already in privileged exec mode? Exec mode, like EXEC mode.
If you
Yeah.
dealing with Cisco devices and you've set up your user account to drop directly into privileged exec mode, privilege 15, you're likely
Network
using Ansible with the
CLI.
network_CLI connection plugin. When dealing with network devices, especially Cisco, it's not about bin shish, which is more for Unix-like systems. Instead, it's about understanding the mode the terminal session starts in. To instruct Ansible to work with a device that starts in privileged exec mode, you typically set the Ansible _become and related variables. However, if you're already in privilege 15, you don't need to become anything, you're already there. Here's what you can do. Update your inventory. For the hosts in question, ensure that the following settings are present in your Ansible inventory. Ensure you have the necessary libraries. When dealing with network_CLI, ensure you have the required Python libraries. For Cisco iOS, for example, you'd need Paramigo. Install it using pip. Update your playbook, if necessary. You might not need to change anything in the playbook if your inventory is set correctly. But if you do become related tasks in the playbook, you can remove or comment them out. Here's a sample of what playbook task might look like. If you correctly set up everything, running this playbook should allow Ansible to connect to the device, recognize it's already in privileged exec mode, and then execute commands accordingly.
All right, so that looks good to me. Yep. So I think this will work. Okay. So let me say, like, okay, do you think this will fix it? So I'll say, okay, does this look right?
Your playbook appears to be structured correctly for the objective of gathering facts from devices running iOS, Junos, and EOS.
Okay.
There are a few points and potential improvements to consider. Provider configuration. You're using provider CLI in the tasks, which implies that you have a CLI variable defined somewhere, likely in a group_vars or host_vars file, or perhaps past the runtime. Ensure this variable contains the correct connection parameters. Ansible collections. Depending on the Ansible version you're using, specific network modules have been moved to Ansible collections. If you're using Ansible 2,
I might need to do that
10 or
for
later, you may need to use the fully qualified
EOS.
collection name G Cisco IS IS_facts instead of just IS_facts. Also, ensure you've installed the required collections using Ansible Galaxy. For group playbook execution, your approach utilizes when statements to determine the device type and execute the appropriate task. This is valid, but keep in mind that for a large number of devices, the playbook will attempt every task against every device, skipping those that don't match the condition. A more scalable approach would be to utilize separate plays for each group or use dynamic includes. Ansible become. As discussed earlier, if you're dropping directly into the privileged exec mode on the iOS devices, ensure that Ansible_become equals no for these hosts. This can be done in the inventory or as a global variable. Writing facts to file. The last task will write the facts to a file for each device. Ensure the directory exists or add a task to create the directory if it doesn't exist. Here's a slightly optimized example. Note that I added a task to ensure the directory exists and utilize delegate_ to run certain tasks, like directory creation and file writing, on the local host. Ensure you test the playbook on a subset of devices first to ensure it works as expected before running it across all your devices.
Oh, where's Ansible become? Wait, where do you have Ansible become in there? All I see is gather facts no. Like, why does gather facts no in there, but I don't see Ansible become? Did you mean to put Ansible become instead of gather facts?
I apologize for the oversight. Let's clarify a few things. Gather underscore facts. No, I added this line to ensure that the default fact gathering is disabled for the play. This is because you're running a playbook designed specifically to gather network-specific facts and disabling the default fact gathering can speed up playbook execution. Ansible underscore become. You're correct. I mentioned Ansible underscore become equals no in the text but missed adding it in the playbook example. If you're always in privilege exec mode and don't need to escalate privileges for the devices, you can specify Ansible underscore become no in the playbook to override any global or inventory-specific configurations. Here's the adjusted playbook. This playbook now explicitly disables both the default fact gathering, gather underscore facts. No, and privilege escalation, Ansible underscore become. No. Again, apologies for the oversight, and thank you for pointing it out.
Okay, looks good, but can you please generate the whole file instead of just abbreviating it to say other device facts task? Like, can you build it out according to the whole host file that I posted earlier? Like, I will post the host file again if you would like me to.
Certainly. Exclamation mark. I'd be happy to generate the entire playbook for you based on the hosts you provided.
Oh, repost it? Yeah, I can do that.
If you can repost the host file, or relevant portions of it, I can better tailor the playbook to your specific requirements.
See, I'm actually working with somebody. This is like working with a person.
Based on the host file you provided, here's a more comprehensive playbook that covers all your network devices across the different groups. This playbook will collect facts from each device type, iOS, Junos, EOS, and FortiGate in each group.
This is absolute magic. Like, nothing like this existed before. Like, there were things that were kind of like this, but they like weren't like this. It's like the difference between Mario, the original Mario on SNES, and The Witcher 3. It's like they used to have video games, but they didn't have video games. You couldn't strap a headset onto your head and talk to somebody in another country as if they were in your living room. And the coolest thing about VR2 is, like, you could actually put somebody in your living room, because what you would do is you would create your...
Hey,
no, don't say continue in the same fashion.
Adjust the paths in the desk attribute of the
Okay. So, okay. That's fine. So let's put that in there. And then we'll get rid of the FortiGate for now. Let's actually put it all on the same line like this. There we go. And then let's okay, looks good, but looks good. Please complete this part as well.
Here's a continuation for the WAN and FLOR01 groups. Again, keep in mind to adjust the paths in the desk attribute.
Okay, so yep, that looks good. Oh, so keep in mind to adjust the paths in the dest attribute. I don't know what them. Oh, down here, down here. Um. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fine. Okay. So this is another. Yeah. So we need another line here. Okay. So hosts, tasks, hosts, tasks, hosts, tasks, hosts, tasks, hosts. Yeah, and then we are gonna have some problems here. But let's see if what happens. So we're going to stage changes, and we're going to say playbook hopefully correct. Book corrected for priv 15. Yep. Okay, and then in here, let's set up automated fetches as well. Yeah, see how that worked now? Now it just automatically pulls up that we have some changes ready. So that's what I was looking for. We'll do that every 30 seconds. And yep, now we can sync the changes. And that's my sedentary timer. So if I want to tackle my obesity issue, I need to not be sedentary for as much as I have been. So let's take care of that. Alright, 5 minutes is all it takes. Moving the treadmill itself is also some exercise, so get some strength building, I get some cardio. Good deal all around. Alright, so now we've got okay, so let's see here. Oops, I need this too fast. Actually no, it's a good speed. Okay. So yeah, let's try it. Okay, so we've got a problem here. Ansible connection is not a valid attribute for a play. Alright. So let's redirect that to the error log and then feed that into ChatGPT. So we're going to say appears to have been in there, but may be elsewhere in the file, depending on the exact syntax problem. Elsewhere in the file. We'll call it invalid attribute. Okay. Sync those up. And we don't need to show this again. And then we can come here and it should automatically populate. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? And now we can feed this into oops. Alright, so what we can do instead is we can redirect the standard error. So like that. Okay, and now we can feed this in.
I apologize for the oversight. The Ansible underscore connection should be set in the inventory or via var section within the play, not directly under the play itself.
Oh, that's so annoying.
To correct this, you should set the Ansible underscore connection in the relevant inventory file. For instance. However, if you'd rather define it within the playbook, you should use a var section.
Yeah, I'd
Here's how
rather
you can adjust the
define
beginning
it
of one of the plays in
playbook.
your playbook. Apply the same change to other plays in the playbook. Again, sorry for the oversight, and thanks for pointing it out.
Okay. Yeah, so we have to do this basically for all of them. Okay, so can you write
The content you provided seems to be largely correct.
Yeah, let's do it.
However, I noticed that you still have Ansible underscore connection directly under the host section in the latter playbooks.
Oh, it can't do it anymore. Failed out.
Your playbook seems to be structured well for the most part, but I noticed that you're still placing Ansible underscore connection. Network underscore CLI directly under the host directive for each play. As per the error you mentioned, and as I advised in the previous answer, we need to move it into a var section.
Let's do
Let's
it.
rewrite the playbook by making the necessary adjustments.
It's too long, I think. It's not going to be able to do the whole thing. It's going to fail out at like the WAN internet section or whatever. But I mean, this is good. I wish I could just do it like in a centralized place. Okay, I see what it's wanting me to do. So, oops, and I'm entitled to some
With this structure, you're clearly defining the Ansible underscore connection within the var section for each play, which should address the error you were facing. Make sure to adjust other sections like tasks and such.
All right, so if I need some sedentary time, I can take it. I don't think I need it, so let's keep on going. So yeah, we'll make this nice and pretty like that. Okay. And then, yeah, this has to go under each host section. Which sucks. I wish I could do it in one centralized section. I mean, you could do it in a centralized section in the hosts folder. I hate that you have to do it for each host section in the playbook. Is there a way to do it in a more centralized location? The host folder. Host
Absolutely. You can define common variables in several centralized places. Group variables, group underscore vars. For your use case, you can use the group underscore vars directory, which contains variables that are applied to specific groups. For instance, you can have a file named all YML in the group underscore vars directory, and any variable defined in it will apply to all hosts. In the group underscore vars, all YML file, YAML copy code remote underscore user, gposh ansible underscore connection, network underscore CLI, and then in your playbook, you don't need to mention these variables, as they'll be applied to all hosts by default.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Playbook
let's do
variables.
that.
If you're not inclined to use external files, you can define common variables at the top of the playbook itself. YAML copy code, hosts, all vars, remote underscore user, gposh ansible underscore connection, network underscore CLI. This, however, still requires.
All right, but we made the changes, so let's just see if these work. So, so defining the and the thing is, it's gonna have to be different for the device anyway. So like, all right, so, so updating playbook for Priv 15. All right, sync those changes. Go up here. All right, it should automatically do it. Might have to hit refresh or something. Try hitting refresh. Still nothing. So I wonder what happened. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it just takes 30 seconds. All right, so there we go. So now let's try it again. Man, this is rough. Not easy. Okay, so that's kind of good news because that's a message for the leaf switch, which is the Cisco. So it looks like the Arista might not have had any errors on it. And also it looks like the second one might not have had any errors on it. But yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Either that or it just got to those first. Yeah, it just got to those first. Authenticity can't be established. See, it's just using Paramico. Like this is the thing that like makes me really angry about Ansible. It's like it's just using Paramico. Like literally, you can just do this in 5-10 lines of code using Paramico yourself. You don't have to use Ansible. Just use Python in Paramico. Like it might not look as pretty as this, but at the same time it's going to look prettier because you're not going to get all this garbage up there because like all this stuff like it's like this idea that it's going to just work. Like it's like a manual automatic shift transmission on a car versus a manual. It's like yeah, it's nicer and it's easier to use when it works, but when it falls apart, it's like a lot easier to fix a manual shift than it is an automatic. And like once you are used to driving manual, like it's not a big deal. So like that's the way I see it. And with that, I think I am gonna end the video. We're at the 2-hour mark right now. That's just way too much time for this. So yeah, I mean we definitely made a lot of progress. We were able to actually reach out to the devices. And let's make one more modification here. Let's go to the campus fax. And then let's change it to okay, you know what? Okay, it is meant to go through the rest of them. I'm not sure why it's not going through all of them. Yeah, right now it's just failing. But yeah, so it's just reaching out to the device through Paramico. It's like you can just do this yourself, and you don't need to use Ansible, and it's less code. It's easier. So I don't know. That's my opinion on it right now. But with that, I think I'm going to put an end to this video. It's 2 hours, quite a lot of time, yeah, we'll come back to it in another video. We've got it to where it's looking through these, but we need to do the okay on it, and we still need to get through this part of the book. So yeah, that's it. Put in a good, college try into it. but still got quite a bit more to go. So that's the end of this video. Stay tuned for another one, and hopefully we can get things looking as good as they do in the book. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one.